beef stroganoff. It's a Russian dish. Apparently comes from the 1800s, the late 1800s. And the history also says that it was from the stroganoff family, where there was a French chef came in for the stroganoff family and made this dish. So that's what we're going to do today, a beef stroganoff. And it's as simple as a sauteed beef, and like I've said before, don't overcook it, so it's a quick one. Beef strips and tomato flavour, a little bit of red wine, onions, and we're going to take over a bit of garlic, tomato and tomato paste. And as simple as that. I will show you a little quick trick, and that is working with the rice that you can do. So there's a great, I don't need the Coke Zero there. So there's a great little tip here. It's using coconut milk in the rice and cooking the rice. Now, a lot of, just fill that, make sure you've got enough water in there, because this goes for 2 sessions. So you'll put it in the microwave, and depending on the strength of your microwave, for 10 minutes, then putting a little bit more water in it, checking it, putting the lid on after 10 minutes, and then redo it for another 10 minutes. So that's just a little trick there, gives that really nice flavour. Now, I'll get you to come over here if I can, and we're just going to do, like we normally do, a couple of knobs of butter in there, not too much. I don't want to make it too oily, so therefore just some knobs of butter. And this is the quick process. We'll get the onions in there first, just saute those onions off a little bit. Red onions again, I tend to use those a lot more than the white or the brown onions. Make sure it's not too hot, the oven, the fry pan, and really just quickly whipping that through. Now, while we're just waiting for that to go, I'm going to put in, we can see garlic. One more onion, one more bit of butter there. Just moving that through again, it's not on too hot. Just want to come back here quickly. One of the things that I've got a phobia, and people have lots of phobias. My main phobia is mushrooms. Peas I'm no good with. You could put peas in this dish. I don't do peas. I only do mushrooms if I've cut them myself. I've got this weird phobia. And so these are just some little button mushrooms you can see. One of the great things about these is not putting them in too early, and so they're not overcooked, because you don't want them to have that really sogginess. Some people like a soggy mushroom. I do not. So I just put them in last minute, and it just soaks up some of that great flavour there in the stroganoff. So let's come back. That'll be warm enough now. We mix the garlic in, and here we just put in those beef strips. You can do a chicken stroganoff as well. That's quite a nice dish, the chicken stroganoff. So really just turning that up a bit. We want the high heat now, because this is a quick cook, just to really brown the meat, and then we add some of the other liquid to it, and that's as simple as it is. Remember, we've got our rice going with the coconut in the microwave. Here's a little thing. Once that's starting to go, we've got to put in the sour cream, and that's quite a large thing of sour cream. This is going to serve about 6 or 8 people. Family of 4 here. We'll always have seconds, either tonight or tomorrow. Goes well in the fridge. It's also good cold. So that's on a high heat. And we are going to add to that shortly. Here's a little thing I like to sometimes put in. Look at this, the little chicken that vomits a little bit of red wine. Okay, the kids don't always like that, but it is that kind of traditional flavour. Don't overdo it. Just burning off a little bit of that red wine that might have been left over from a dinner party the other night. And you can see that that's cooking relatively quickly. You don't want it to go too tough. That's why it's got to be a quick cook. Now, there's a lot of liquid in there. I'm going to put in a can of, it's a relatively large can of just diced tomatoes. And just heating that through, waiting for that to heat through. We're going to add a little bit of tomato paste. This just gives that really thick, rich, tomatoey flavour that you need from the stroganoff. And while we're adding that, just mix it through. And the last thing we'll mix through is the sour cream, and then of course the mushrooms at the end, and just let it sit until you're ready to actually serve that up, and we'll show that at the end. So letting that just go through, cooking through a bit, making sure that that is on a high heat, and just the sour cream in. Simple as that. Mixing that. Now you can of course add a couple other things to it in terms of condiments, so that might be a salt and pepper, which we'll do shortly. I'm going to put in some salt and pepper, or a pinch of salt there, a little sneaky pinch of chili, never hurts, a bit of pepper, that's still cooking. Remember, some of those things that we've put in there weren't necessarily hot, so that might take a little bit to reheat and get to that temperature and keep cooking. So, add in the mushrooms and we're done, and then we'll show you the final product when we plate up. That literally is as simple as that. That's a very simple yet incredibly tasty stroganoff. Now, if you find that there's not enough of that tomatoey flavour, absolutely put a bit more paste in. If you think there's too much, put a little bit of cream in, and you can put a bit of normal cream in, or coconut cream, whatever you want to add to that, just to give it that creamy flavour. So you'll see it's quite a wet dish in terms of its consistency, which is fantastic. Some of that mushroom will pick that up, as does the onion as well in there. So we'll come back when we plate that up, and look forward to seeing you then.